Hello and welcome to the HF&S Podcast, where we peer pressure NASCAR drivers into getting penalties, according to Kevin Harvick. Today we have Zachary Hall, Brian Johnson, and myself, Nick Crawford. We're going to talk about some NASCAR stuff that went down over this weekend at Phoenix. Also, we're going to talk about SHR and their dominance, where the Chevy's at again, and we're going to jump into iRacing a little bit, maybe talk a little bit about the Peak Series. But first, let's get into the Xfinity race and just get a little summary of what's going on there this weekend. So this weekend, they were at Phoenix. It's the last race before they change everything. And surprise, surprise, we had another Cup driver win. We had Brad Keselowski finish first. We had Justin Allgaier finish second and Kyle Busch third. So 2 out of the top 3 were Cup drivers, which is super fun. But, let's get your thoughts on this. How do you feel about this racing with Cup drivers, Brian?
I mean, they've been doing it for a long time. But I think NASCAR's doing it good, or well, because the Cup drivers can, NASCAR lets them choose. You want to go for the Xfinity Championship or you want to go for the Cup Championship, and of course, all of them going to do the Cup Championship. Unfair advantage when it comes to the other Xfinity drivers, yeah. Possibly an unfair advantage in Cup since you turn in more laps. I don't really see a problem with it. It definitely it kind of like junior motorsports. It kind of pushes them to be better and better every week. It pushes all the teams that all the teams and the drivers that don't participate in the Cup side of things to really push themselves. And I think that's good for the drivers because then once they get up to the Cup Series, they already have some experience with racing against some of those guys, which I think will make them better.
According to the rookie finishes, it's just they finish the same anyways.
Yeah. Pretty similar.
Okay, Zach, so how do you feel about it? Because we had Brad Keselowski finish first, Kyle Busch, and then Jamie McMurray finished 5th.
Okay, well, I'm actually kind of a change of opinion on the subject because I was once a really big critic of Cup drivers running down there in the series, but I think I've come to the conclusion that it actually betters the competition for the drivers out there, gains them experience. So, I'm all for it now. I like the way they do it. Personally, NASCAR made it right where they can't run the playoffs. So, it doesn't affect championships, but it does, get them drivers ready throughout the season. So, that's pretty cool. I like that situation. I think it's still, it's a certain age limit on it. The way the age works, I think, is if you can race in the playoffs. I believe Chase Elliott can still, Kyle Larson, Eric Jones, young guys like that can. But I'm not sure. I need to look into that. But I like the way they do it personally. It's just, like Brian said, it could be an advantage for Cup guys. But, there's guys like Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson who don't want to race. They want to come there they're just going to race Sundays. And that's all they want to do. They're not going to go, there's just some drivers that will and some drivers that won't. So I think if you're willing to do it, more power to you, So that's just my opinion.
That reminds me of probably the reason why they implemented this rules way back when Kyle Busch was racing in the trucks. They were at, Charlotte? Where Ron Hornaday ran him up the hill on accident because he got loose, and then Kyle Busch dumped him under caution and pretty much cost him the championship.
On lap 13.
Yep. That's another thing. Is
Yeah,
they can affect, like, if a Cup driver got mad at a younger driver and affected their, could have championship implications. So, and the Cup driver can go in there and it's a free race, and all they're doing is looking to win. So, I mean, we look at like Kyle Larson actually with Eric Jones a couple years ago when Kyle Larson, I think, cut Eric Jones' tire down, which ruined Eric Jones' chance at championship. I think.
Oh, was that the one at Indy?
Actually, I think he's
super sweet save.
No, I think it was actually. It may have been. Nick, I don't know actually what track it was at. I think it was Chicagoland, actually.
Oh, okay.
And it was close to putting him out of the first round, but I think he actually made it to Homestead. I think Daniel Suarez just beat him though. I'm not sure on that. Anybody in the chat knows, they can tell us. Of course, we're monitoring that. So, but I think that affected him. So I think that was another reasoning why NASCAR was like, "Look, we got to do something here to make sure Cup guys aren't coming in here and affecting the Xfinity playoff guys." So I think they're doing it the right way right now. That's my opinion, at least.
Okay, well, let's talk about some of the notables. Of course, first non-Cup driver is Justin Allgaier for Junior Motorsports. He's been creeping up there. From what I've seen, he's been doing a good job this season so far. And do you think he's a championship contender? Zach, we'll start with Zach first.
All right. Yeah, I look at Justin as the man to beat right now. With Christopher Bell and Elliott Sadler like right there on his heels. I know Justin won at Phoenix this race last year, and Junior Motorsports actually won the fall too with William Byron. So they have been known to be really good at Phoenix, and Justin Allgaier is an amazing short track driver. Let's not take that out of the equation. And I don't know, I think he's definitely the man to beat Xfinity regular wise. So that's personally my pick to win it this year is Justin Allgaier in the Xfinity Series. But I definitely see a close race between him, Christopher Bell, and Elliott Sadler right now. So it's a good balance.
So actually, is Tyler Reddick part of Junior Motorsports?
Yeah, he is. He won the first race at Daytona.
Okay, yeah, okay, because they're top three right now in the standings.
I think he's close. I think he's going to have to take him a little time to get used to the Junior Motorsports and stuff. He won in Chip Ganassi's cars last year in the 42, so he can do it. He's won in the Truck Series and Brad Keselowski's equipment. I mean, he won at Daytona. We'll see. I mean, he could definitely be a X factor in it. I just think he didn't show the speed these last 2 weeks that I want him to yet. But he will. I think at some point this season you'll be like, whoa, Tyler Reddick, there he is. But I still think Allgaier is the man to beat.
Okay. What do you think, Brian? Do you think a second place finish at Phoenix to the Cup drivers is good enough to say that he's gonna be champion this year?
Well, not in this race, but for a championship. But in that race, I mean, if the Cup drivers weren't there, he would have won, and then whoever was in fourth would have came in second. So,
yeah.
I think I'm kind of pulling for Elliott Sadler for this championship since he got screwed over last year. He's got more fire to win it than anybody else does. But I do think that whether Justin Allgaier wins the championship, the Xfinity Championship this season, he may have a shot at a Cup ride next year.
Oh, he's been around for a while too. He's not one of those little up and coming rookies. He's been here for a while. I don't even know.
He started with Penske. I remember when he started with Penske. Or hold on. Are you talking about Allgaier or Sadler? My bad.
Yeah, Allgaier.
Okay, Allgaier. Yeah, he started with Penske. He actually drove the 51 car in the Cup Series too, for 2 years.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yep.
And
then went back to Xfinity. He's always had talent for sure. I think he took an earlier opportunity, like almost like an Alex Bowman type deal. How he could have probably waited and maybe got a ride down the lower series, but he wanted to go ahead and go to Cup, get the experience in some bad equipment, and try to learn there, and then hopefully maybe get a deal. And I think that's what he's looking at. I mean, Allgaier I don't think is that old. He's definitely not older than Elliott Sadler.
No.
I could definitely see. I could definitely see Allgaier being in the Cup Series again. But
How old is Elliott
I don't know if it's going to be a winning race car though. That's the only thing. I could see him maybe joining like a RCR, which could be a winning. That they could win races still, but I don't see them being never seen him being in a race car that could compete for a championship in the Cup Series. But definitely could see him getting back there.
Justin Allgaier is 31 years old. He's only 5'6". Lame.
He's very short, yeah. All race car most race car drivers are very short, except for Kyle Busch and all them. Joe the guy.
What if Michael Waltrip?
Michael Waltrip, yeah.
What if they just start like at 5'11", but because of the G forces, they just shrink?
They stretch out or shrink.
Yeah, compresses them.
Elliott Sadler is 42. He's 6'4".
Okay, so yeah, he's 11.
Tall guy.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's definitely a big guy.
I'd be afraid of him.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so that's the Xfinity race. They're going down to California next week, but also we had the Cup Series, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, racing at Phoenix, and it was a lot of the same as when it comes to the first place. Of course, we had Mr. Kevin Harvick making a statement by finishing first for the third time in a row. It's first time in his career, of course. So let's talk about what happened on Sunday. So I'll let it go to Zach. Just, what do you think about Sunday's race?
Well, Sunday's race was a really good race, actually. I'd say it's the best race we've had all season by far, competition-wise. I noticed it was really cool because, yeah, Kevin Harvick did win. We know he's won 3 in a row now, but it definitely wasn't a dominating performance. It wasn't, man, where's the 4 car at? He was there. It's just, I think Kyle Busch had a little bit of trouble. So thinking back to last week's picks in our podcast, I think Brian picked Kevin Harvick, of course. That was the easy one. Congratulations, Brian, on that one. But I picked Kyle Busch, and I think if they wouldn't have dropped Kyle Busch's jack, I think we might have been looking at me as the right prognosticator on that situation. But it was interesting battle between them two because Kyle Busch got ahead of him at that one last pit stop, I think. But yeah, like I said, interesting battle between them two. Chase Elliott was up there. Denny Hamlin at one point was up there. Truex is there. Larson was there the first run. Disappeared
because he spun out.
Yeah, he had an issue all weekend with wheel hopping.
Yeah, wheel hop, brake chatter.
Yeah, he had some weird issues this weekend, so that was tough for him. Stuart Haas ran great again. Hendrick ran better. William Byron led laps.
Yeah,
he stopped for a long time on the 2 tires, man. He did a really good job. I was impressed. I think we can take that as a sign to look forward to the rest of the season for William Byron, showing he still has that. I thought he was going to struggle on the mile and a half, but he's the short tracks will come to him easier just because it's short track. Everybody races on short tracks coming up, so I figured that would be what comes to him sooner. And it's awesome to see that. But like I said, great race. I think there was at one point there was 4 cars racing within a second, for the lead in a long run, we haven't had that in a long time. I think it was a good sign. It was restrictor plate. Yeah, I'm sorry. That is very true. Nick is right, guys. Can we all just congratulate Nick
for it's still a race track, okay?
Yep. Round of applause for him because he's correct. But still, for a track like Phoenix, that was awesome to see. Long into the run, at least. You know what I'm saying? It was and you didn't know who was going to pass who, and Kyle Busch ends up coming by him. So I thought it was a great race, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know. Watching final practice, really anybody in that top 5 had a shot at winning the race. I think what hurt Chase Elliott's chances at winning is they couldn't keep up with the track. I know in the Xfinity race, they had to went through all sorts of changes because it couldn't decide whether it wanted to rain or not. And then for the Cup race, the track kept changing, and you had all the rubber that kind of washed off from all the rain, so it was a different track than what they had been practicing in. And I think what hurt Chase Elliott was they just couldn't keep up with the conditions and adjusting the car. I think that's what got Kevin Harvick the advantage near the end there, uh, minus Kyle Busch's pit circumstances. Uh, that Rodney Childers is really good about adjusting for the track, so I think that's what did him in.
Well, looking at the laps, Kyle Busch led 128 laps. Kevin Harvick only led 38. So, like you said, Zach, he wasn't dominating. It wasn't like he was 10 seconds ahead of second place. If anything, Kyle Busch had the dominant car when you look at it. When you only look at the laps, of course. But, that shows you what mistakes can do, especially, on the money stop, as they call it. Last stop of the race, and you screw up. And he was probably really mad. I would like to hear his radio chatter to his crew after they dropped that jack.
Especially after a checkered flag.
I bet it was interesting. I watched the post-race press conference with him, and he seemed mad, of course. He wasn't happy, but he did say, look, I've won races because of pit road, and I've lost races because of pit road. So he's like, either way, He's like, I've won plenty of races because of that pit crew, and I've lost races because of that pit crew. And he's like, and they were a team, so. And with this new change, I think pit road has become the best thing about this new change with the 5 men, or ever how many men they can have over the wall, because it's made pit stops be wild. Like, people picking up 8 spots, losing 8 spots. It's been wild. I think that's one thing we should really look into again. It's been 3 weeks in a row, I think, of that. So
yeah, you got 5 guys over the wall. One of them, which is the gas man, who can only do gas. He can't do anything other than gas. And what I like from every team has a different philosophy about like what the 4 other crewmen do in pit stops. Like I've seen, like I can't remember who it was. Was it Kevin Harvick's crew? I don't know, but there was one pit crew I was watching where it's like they don't have a set jack man. They had one guy come out with the jack up the car. Then he took was it a rear tire? He took one of the used tires over to the wall, and then one guy that brought a new tire out, he took the jack and jacked it up on the other side. So it's like they're kind of like shifting positions to try to get a fast time, and I think it's pretty cool to watch different pit crews and see how they do it differently.
That makes me excited for All-Star race time, because they have the pit crew challenge, and that's going to be crazy. I mean, when's the last time we saw 14, 15, 16-second pit stops on the regular? Usually when you see that means, like, whenever you did that last season, you were dropping tires or something, and you had to go get another one, or your air gun broke. But now it's just normal. It's just, they're not consistent, and it's going to be a big learning curve, of course. And I think the gas man, what the rule is he can't do anything to the car while he's fueling. So if he's not fueling, I think he can help.
Okay.
But don't quote me on that one.
Yeah, no, because like last year and years prior, what he could do, he could stick the gas can in the car, then he'd have a wrench and he'd reach over and make adjustments, but he can't do that anymore.
And you'd see him kicking tires and
yeah, I can't.
But let's talk about these results. Common theme since Atlanta, no Chevys really. Just Chase Elliott is the only Chevy in the top 10. After that, you got Ryan Newman in 11th, William Byron, strong run in 12th, Alex Bowman around where he's usually been in 13th, and Jimmy Johnson in 14th. So you got pretty much all of Hendrick right there. Like at this point, oh yeah. So Hendrick didn't have a bad day, but they didn't have a really great day.
And they're getting there.
Then you got Martin Truex sneaking in there again. And then another big thing was all of SHR finished top 10. What do you think about that, Zach?
I think it's hard to say because they all weren't there the whole day, but they slowly all just creeped in there. Like, I mean, Kurt Busch did win a stage. When you take that in the factor, it's his second stage, which he did just get off because he didn't pit. Like, he stayed out instead of. He pretty much gave up track position for a stage win, but he did win a stage. Clint Boyer ran pretty good. Yeah, Eric Almirola ran pretty good too.
I think he was up in the top 3 at one point.
Yeah, at one point I believe
I saw him up around Chase.
I do believe at one point he was up there. I think he took 2 tires at one point. That's what it was with William Byron. Yeah. But William Byron, I feel like did a lot better job. So I was impressed with that. But yeah, Stewart Haas has been on a roll, man. They definitely been the strongest team, I'd say, so far. So pecking order wise, Stewart Haas is definitely the team to beat right now.
Ooh, fun. So now we gotta go to the point standings, and of course, Harvick's in the lead. And this is overall point standings. This is not, playoff. You got Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch in second, Martin Truex, Joey Logano, and Ryan Blaney. You have to go all the way down. Actually, SHR is all in the top 11 in points right now.
Holy cow.
That's impressive.
So maybe it is their year.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to see. But yeah, I mean, I don't think much has changed in the point standings. It's all the same guys. Hendrick is just nowhere to be seen. Who's the highest Hendrick person right now in points? Chase Elliott in 16th.
Ouch.
Yeah. Well, at least he's going forward.
Yeah.
I have a question.
You got that...
go ahead.
I was just going to say, you got that new car that they can't figure out how to make it work on faster tracks. In Phoenix, they finished well, but it's short track. And when it comes to Stewart Haas, I remember it was back in November, Tony Stewart was saying that they had some really cool stuff in the works to try and work on in the off season as far as like the race shop goes. So whatever they did is working, and I have to wonder if it's like just communication between the teams. Because in Hendrick they have 2 different buildings, so to relay information between 2 buildings is a lot more difficult than with Stewart Haas, where they're all in one big building. So I feel like they're just doing a better job of sharing information and just making everybody better. I mean, they're all in the top 10 every weekend and overall. So I think, they're doing something different, and it's working for the time being.
Okay, Zach, you said you had a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask, where's Bubba Wallace and William Byron in the points? I just want to know that for later reference.
Our little rookies. Okay, Darrell Wallace, he's in 19th, and Byron's in 21st. So, I mean, for rookies, I don't think that's too bad.
No, not at all.
I mean, especially with the competition nowadays.
Yeah, and they're in Chevys.
Yeah, we talked about that and their, handicaps basically. Another thing we talked about last week was Mr. Kevin Harvick and his cool dented back window and whether he would get a penalty or not. And we all kind of agreed that, he's not going to get it now. And that's pretty much what everyone thought. Like, okay, I mean, they said it was a part failure, and how can you prove it's not? And everybody's like, okay, yeah, he's just going to go on. He's not going to do it again. surprise, the day after, 7 playoff points taken away. His crew chief was fined $50,000. His car chief was suspended for 2 races, and the team also lost 20 points and 20 owner points. And it's like, where did that come from? And Brian, where did that come from?
Came from those damn side skirts. Yep. The window. NASCAR
Skirts are
didn't
dangerous
fine
things,
them.
people.
NASCAR didn't fine them or penalize them because of the window. We were right on that. I was about to say we missed the ball on the penalizing thing, but we actually didn't. The window was fine. Is that the penalty came from the side skirts being steel instead of aluminum.
What?
Yeah, the side skirts are supposed to be aluminum, and his were steel. Used to there wasn't a rule on that, and so
There's a new rule this year.
Yeah, this year. So somebody just either overlooked it, didn't want to change them, something.
Yeah.
And so they were steel. And so that was where the penalty came from. Now, did they find the side skirts? Did they find that side skirt problem because of the rear window thing all over social media and people asking questions about it? I think 100% yes. They wouldn't have took that car through a fine-tooth comb like they did if nobody was complaining about those rear windows.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Since you say, because everybody was saying stuff, do you think Kevin Harvick is right in the fact that social media got him the penalty?
Ooh, social media didn't get him the penalty, but social media did get NASCAR to look closer to his car.
So you're saying yes.
Because you can't blame social media for having your side skirts steel. That wasn't social media's fault. But I think social media played a hand into NASCAR looking closely at it.
Okay. So let's go to Zach on this matter.
Well,
what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the social media thing that Kevin Hart was saying, I think fans always have an influence on the penalty. I think there's always going to be outcry when people hear, oh man, he's cheating this, because people don't know the insides and outs of the garage. Like a common person thinks, oh, well, he's cheating is this, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you everything. If you don't know about racing, everybody's cheating.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, we even have proof if you guys ain't watching the video, if you're not watching the video right now, if you're just listening, we do have photos that this window thing is not something new. This is something we seen last year. I have pictures of a car from Alex Bowman from Atlanta when Kevin Harvick won there with his deck lid, his rear window sucked down. I don't think that. I think it's shedding light on that. I think that it was on purposely. I think teams were doing this, exploiting this little thing. That's hard to notice, and I think the side skirts is what NASCAR wants to blame it on. But I think they're going to start cracking down on these windows and these. I mean, I guess side skirts. The only thing I can think about the side skirt thing is you want to steal side skirt so it's stronger when you hit the track, so it doesn't bow out. When you bow out a side skirt, you're losing downforce in the underside of the car. So if you can seal the car better off with a straight, skirt, then it's better. So
yeah, that makes sense, especially at a bumpy track like in Atlanta.
Yeah, and that was at Las Vegas too. That penalty came from, of course. But yeah, I think the same car they went at Las Vegas, Atlanta.
Well, it's still bumpy there, and we know that.
Yeah, no, it's bumpy. It's definitely bumpy.
Here.
iRacing.
Well, and it's like I was telling Zach the other day when we were talking about it. I said NASCAR should just give him the option to run steel or aluminum because aluminum's weaker but it's lighter, steel is stronger but it's heavier, and so that gives teams an option to run two different things, and so then you'll have different philosophies coming out, and you'll see some teams win with the steel side skirt and some people win with the aluminum. It's a small choice, but I think NASCAR should give them the choice.
Does that come into the part where NASCAR is trying to make everything cheaper, especially for the smaller teams? You know how they did the engine rules so that it's cheaper for teams. So we all is steel, is that more expensive than aluminum?
No.
No? Okay, well then never
Aluminum's
mind, I guess.
much more expensive. The only thing, as of right
Uh,
now, Trump did do that steel tariff.
yeah, and
So you
well,
may see that price of steel start coming up a little bit, but I don't think, I mean, aluminum has dropped in price significantly over the past 10, 20 years, but it's still pricier than steel.
and also you want to think aluminum's lighter, so a side skirt of aluminum is going to weigh a lot less. It's going to be a lot less of aluminum to make that side skirt than steel,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
That makes sense because I mean you sell it by the weight, right?
Yep.
Metal, so I mean you're going to want a stronger material. Aluminum is going to be weaker than
Oh
steel. I can
God.
guarantee you that. But I'm not a metal expert. So don't take me down for quotes.
I
But
ain't no metal expert. I didn't go to metal school.
I didn't go to metal school.
Metal school.
I went to rock and roll school.
Nice. I was gonna do that.
Scrap metal pricings per pound
Oh, we got an expert.
Ooh.
from Rockaway Recycling.
Well, that's probably them buying scrap metal then.
Yeah, Brian, we got high class steel here. Okay, we're Stuart Haas Racing.
Okay,
Ford sent
so
us this on a private jet.
sheet aluminum sells for 37 cents a pound from this place.
Yeah,
And steel is somewhere between 5 and 9 cents a pound.
So
okay.
steel is cheaper. Okay.
It's
Yeah, you can
cheaper
get
per
about-
pound.
Yeah, you can get 3 pounds of steel for 1 pound of aluminum.
I guess we would have to find out why they
How much
prefer aluminum.
more way to if it? I
Let's
don't know
see.
why they want. I guess
How-
it's just something they want. I don't know. They want cars to
It's my way or the highway.
change.
Okay, so a steel plate of 1/8 of an inch.
Drum roll,
What?
please.
I don't know. It's giving me numbers, but it's not giving me any.
It's not even worried about it. We just know that it was the wrong material. We don't know why NASCAR changed to it, but just some reason. But guess what? It didn't change what happened because Kevin Harvick won 3 in a row.
Yep, first time in his career. And
That is very true.
that brings up the question, of course. We go to Auto Club, and I don't think Kevin Harvick is great there. I
He's
don't
good.
know.
He's very
I
good
don't know
there.
the recent history on there. But
All I gotta say is his home track.
oh
So,
jeez,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
home
that's right.
track.
He's a California kid.
Yep.
And when he goes to a track that he likes, like Phoenix and Auto Club, he does well, and he's on a roll right
Okay.
now. So,
So
but something's gonna happen soon, though. Pit crew's gonna trip up. They're gonna have a part failure. So, something is gonna happen soon.
But the question is, can he win
Yeah.
4 in a row like these other great drivers? Do you know who these other great drivers are, Nick?
oh yeah.
Why don't you tell us?
Okay. Well, first off, you have Cale Yarrow. In 1976, he won at Richmond, Dover, Martinsville, and North Wilkesboro. North Wilkesboro, that's the road course, right?
No, North
Not
Wilkesboro
even
is
close.
it's the track. It's actually the closest NASCAR track to me.
God, I'm just on the same.
It's a
I'm
short
on
track.
the
Yeah,
same
North Wilkesboro
level.
is the closest track to me, bro.
Charlotte's closer than Wilkesboro.
No, it's
I'm
not.
on the same level as Rick Allen now.
It is, I promise.
Charlotte's 6 hours away from me, bud.
Yeah, no.
Wilkesboro's not 6 hours away from me.
Wilkesboro is like 40 minutes away from Boone. It's in the mountains almost.
Are you sure about that?
I'm positive. So every time
Well,
me and my family go up to the mountains, we pass.
Whatever. I don't care. I'm just saying it's in North Carolina. Whatever.
Yeah, it's in North Carolina. It's in the mountains.
Well, thank you for telling me.
It's a
I didn't
oval.
know.
It's a little. It's smaller than Martinsville, but it's wider.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. Well, speaking of Martinsville, we move on to Mr. Darrell Waltrip. In 1981, he won Martinsville, North Wilkesboro, and Charlotte and Rockingham. That seems like a lot of like really tough racetracks. Martinsville, we know why that's tough. North Wilkesboro is another Martinsville but wider, so seems tough. Everybody knows how to race Charlotte, and Rockingham is just Rockingham. But Darrell Waltrip, that's like the prime of his career in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And he did go on to win that season too, or the championship. And also Cale Yarbrough won his season. And then in 1987, we have Dale Earnhardt, also a championship winner that year. He won Darlington, North Wilkesboro. Apparently, that's the track you have to win in order to win 4 in a row. Then Bristol and Martinsville.
It's got to be the second one, right? All of these guys, their second win in a row has come in North Wilkesboro, right? Or am I wrong?
Cale Yarbrough, it was the last of the 4.
The last one, okay.
And then the other 2 are the second ones. And then he went on to win the championship, like I said. But then we move on to 1991. Harry Gant won Darlington, Richmond, Dover, and Martinsville. Now, as we're going along, I just noticed these are tough tracks to win at. Like, when I look at them, they're not big mile. I guess they're not big 1.5-mile tracks. They're like the driving tracks, where it's all about the driver. So he got Darlington, Richmond, Dover, and Martinsville, but he actually did not end up winning the championship that year. And we move on to Bill Elliott in 1992. He won Rockingham, Richmond, Atlanta, and Darlington, or another like set of drivers tracks. These aren't just aero tracks that they're trying to win at. Like, you don't see Talladega or Daytona, any of those. He didn't end up winning that season's championship either. And then 1993, Mark Martin won at Watkins Glen, Michigan, Bristol, then Darlington. So I think it just continues the theme, except for Michigan. Michigan's a big aero track, I think. He did not win the championship that year. Jeff Gordon in 1998, he did win the championship after winning Pocono, Indianapolis, Watkins Glen, and Michigan. And he started in 92, right? Or is it 94?
93.
Oh, he started in 93?
Yeah.
That's only 5 years after his rookie season.
And he won
crazy.
13 races that year.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why he's on the ballot for the Hall of Fame.
He did. Yeah, he did end up winning the championship that year, 98. And then the last one to do it besides Kevin Harvick was Jimmy Johnson. And he won at Martinsville, Atlanta, Texas, and Phoenix. Now, I see those as a mix almost, but he did end up winning the championship that year too. And one thing I did notice is 5 out of the 8 people that did 4 in a row, they ended up winning the championship. So is there something that stems from winning 4 races in a row? What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I'd say if you're winning 4 races in a row, you're definitely the man to beat. It's some feats, that we don't see that often. I mean, what was it, 2007? I think was the last time you said with Jimmy Johnson, right?
Yep.
11 years ago.
So yeah, 11 years ago. So if he pulls it off, I mean, the way competition is nowadays, especially in the Cup Series, winning 2 in a row is crazy. Winning 3, that's even crazier. Winning 4, that's like unheard of. So I don't put it past him though. So I don't doubt it happening, and it would be something really amazing to see, especially someone 42 years old when we got this whole youth wave coming in. Second oldest driver in NASCAR, by the way.
Pretty much. So Brian, what do you think? 4 in a row and Kevin wins the championship?
No.
No?
It's too early. The other guys that won 4 in a row, that was later in the season. It's still it's not this early. this streak started at race number 2, whereas those streaks, those other streaks that those older drivers did, the thing that earliest was looked like seemed like the spring race at Martinsville, which would have been later, a little bit later than it is now. And the other thing you got to think about is that Chevys are struggling, so a lot of that competition is not there right now. Um, so it's hard to say, because 4 in a row. I mean, that's really big. That proves that you came to play this season. You ain't messing around, and that you're a strong team to beat. But like Zach said, with the way the competition is now, I don't think winning 4 in a row has as strong of a correlation at winning a championship as it used to be.
Oh, okay. I understand that. So we go either way on this, but we touched on it a little bit earlier. SHR finished all 4 cars in the top 10 this week. Does that continue into California? Because they've been on a hot streak, like I said, 11, or they're all in the top 11 in points. Do we see them doing the same thing in California? Let's go with Zach first.
I'm gonna call it right now. There's 3 in the top 10 next week, 2 in the top 5.
Are you willing to bet some pizza on that?
Yeah. I'm willing to bet pizza, guys. Because if you look at Atlanta, that's where I think that's where they showed, wow, Stuart Haas is really, really strong, I think the other teams caught up a little bit, maybe not to Kevin Harvick, but to the other teams. Even though they didn't get all of them in the top 10 in Atlanta, I think they were stronger there, because Clint Boyer at one point was 3rd, 2nd. I think Kurt Busch was won a stage, was up there leading too, and led 40-something laps. And you can take something from Atlanta, I feel like, and transfer it to California, because both have ridiculous tire wear, bumpy, no grip. I think it'll be a good thing to look at, but I think one of them might have trouble, so I'd say 3 in the top 10, 2 in the top 5. I'd say it continues on to next week.
That 10 car is going to get put into the front stretch wall again, probably.
Yep.
It's like with Danica. Yeah, they were all inside the top 13 at Atlanta finishing, and Clint Boyer was in 3rd. So Kurt Busch 8th. So yeah, what do you think, Brian? Do you think SHR dominates again?
I don't know. While Atlanta or Auto Club or whatever the hell they call it now, California. Well, while it is similar to Atlanta with the tire wear, it is a different track. You got a little bit faster. You're in the RPMs longer. So I think it'll be a really good test for these cars to see if, because I kind of have a suspicion that they're finding some extra power somewhere. And so being in California with, your engines up high in the RPMs for so long on these straightaways, I think we will find out if they can kind of control that power for endurance, and see if they last. Now they probably will, because you don't really see a whole lot of engine failures that much anymore.
No, not really.
You had one this past week at Phoenix with the Whataburger car. Those burgers were charbroiled. Ha ha ha. But California is just kind of, for me, it's kind of like an outlier. There's not another track a lot like it. I mean, Michigan's probably the closest one. So for me, it's kind of a toss-up.
Okay. Now, California, they're not having the spring rules, right? Same as the super speedways? Because I remember one year they were deflating tires on the backstretch because of how bumpy it was.
I have no clue what they're going to do about that. I imagine what they did last year.
They ain't gonna change. But that brings me to Chevy because California is a big aerodynamic track with, like Brian said, how fast it is. Um, Hendrick did pretty all right this weekend. Chase Elliott came home in third place. So, he was leading. He was
He's
catching the leaders on that
yeah.
second to last run, right? And it looked like he was gonna have something for them, but I guess they just went wrong on the last stop or something. But is this a good sign for Chevy teams that they see Chase Elliott up there running and it's like, what's their excuse? Are they gonna get up and go, or are they just gonna let him, do all the work? And what do you think, Zach?
Well, I think that was the biggest thing we can take from the race is Chase Elliott finishing third, leading laps. Actually, I don't think he led laps because Keselowski stayed out. I think the pass was done during the cycle.
Yeah, that's right.
But he was the lead car of the rotation for a while. He ran him down. I think on that restart before too, he had to restart like 10th, and he drove up all the way to where it was a 4-car battle for the lead with D. Hamlin held off Kevin Harvick forever. Until Kyle Busch just drove around them all on the high side. But you could just see Chase Elliott getting closer and closer and closer. And all day he had a really good long run car. Really, really good. Like after like a good 30 laps, that thing would really come in, man, I noticed. And I think the biggest thing he said, I know in the post-race, after the race, he said they just lacked the drive off. So they tried to get some more drive off, which by getting drive off, you gotta really loosen, you gotta tighten yourself up. Which in turn, they made a change to tighten the car up, which it got them good drive, but it took the turn away. So they did it on the last stop. They did the opposite, and it was just not enough drive to hold them off. See, the thing is he could be a little bit. I was thinking about. I was like, well, that don't make no much sense. Like, why'd you take it away if if it hurt you? But I don't think they personally should have took it away because if he had drive off, he probably could have held him off. That was the thing he was really lacking, and that's how Kevin Harvick, passed him. He didn't really need to turn through the center because on the outside you just need that drive off to hold somebody off. That's what Denny Hamlin did. I mean, you can see that he held Kevin Harvick off forever with. I'd say a 4th to 5th place car. He wasn't better in the top 3, that's for sure. But I'm impressed with Chase Elliott. I think the Chevy teams need to look at him and be like, man, this kid is carrying us. We need to pick up our game because this kid's going to make us all look bad if we actually do get something good going.
I don't imagine if he wins a race.
Yeah, he ain't won a race yet. That's the biggest thing. The kid ain't won a race, but he shows these performances like this that you're like, man, if he does get a car that's winnable, then they might be in trouble in the field.
He started catching them late in the run, right? Do you think they were trying to adjust so that he was better towards the beginning of the run?
Probably. You're probably right about that. I think the track was changing too, which Phoenix, it's changing all day, so it's just something they just missed a little bit there at the end. I don't know if they thought they were going to jump ahead of him, maybe. But he did good, definitely. They had a good car. Something good to take positive. He's always ran good at Phoenix, so, I mean, this was expected personally by me already, was him to run really good here this weekend. But, I mean, the other Hendrick cars didn't run too bad either. They were right outside there, and William Byron led. But they still need to pick up their stuff to keep up with Chase, because Chase is definitely carrying the flag for Chevrolet right now.
They need to be there all race instead of just kind of at the end.
Yeah.
So, Brian, is this a good sign for Chevy?
No. Because Chase is consistently the highest finishing Chevy, which, I mean, that's really good for him because that shows just how good of a driver he is. When he's got a car that they can't figure out, and he can still manage to finish in the top 10 when he doesn't get wrecked. So, and again, this was a short track, we'll see this coming week how they do at Auto Club. I really don't think they're gonna do that well. But they will get a lot of good information from this weekend that I think they'll be able to kind of work something off of. But I really don't think we'll be seeing some really good stuff out of Chevy until we get back to Daytona and beyond. When you perform mediocre like that and you come to a short track like Phoenix and you do really well, it just shows like you really haven't figured out how to get the car right at a higher speed. Um, so it's like next weekend or this coming weekend at California, I think Chase he'll be the highest finishing Chevy again. And he'll be barely in the top 10, like 8th at the best, I think.
Okay, I can understand that. Um, so we got our rookies in Chevys, and from what
God
I've
bless.
seen, they've been pretty quiet the last few races. And let's see, you got William Byron finishing 12th. It's a really good finish for a rookie. I
Yeah.
think in a way they expected more because of how well he did in the in the lower series. But my opinion, I think he's doing just fine, especially racing against all these Cup guys. And then you have Daryl Wallace finishing 28th, and in my book, that's not okay. That What do you think, Zach? Are the rookies doing well, one better than the other, or are they just going through their rookie stages?
Well, I think that William had a great race. Of course, he led some laps. They took 2 tires on some strategy. I like that they did that. That was smart. Got him some track position, let him run up there, see what the other leaders doing, maybe learn something from him. So that was really good to see him up there running. And finishing 12th is good. He finished higher, I think, than Jimmy Johnson, maybe. I think Jimmy is either 11th or 13th. I know Bowman was right there, too. They're all right there together.
Yeah.
With Daryl Wallace finishing 28th, that's kind of tough. But at the same time, I got to think this is Richard Petty Motorsports, It's not Hendrick. So I think they're going to go through struggles more than Hendrick does at tracks like these first, Like Brian said,
yeah.
like he doesn't expect them to be good till Daytona. So if Hendrick ain't good till Daytona, I'm gonna tell you, Rich Petty Motorsports ain't gonna be good till Daytona. So
That's for damn sure.
yeah, we really gotta look into that as a situation going forward.
Well, yeah, of course, because Daytona is basically the halfway point when you've been to all the tracks and now you're going to go through them again. And if you're not good the second time around, where's the blame going to go this time? It's not going to be the new car, it's going to be you. So, Brian, what do you think about these rookies' performance?
Really, my main thing is, like with Daryl or Bubba, whatever you want to call him. He, he had that one. Was it at Las Vegas or Atlanta when that
Atlanta,
car?
when he ran into the back of the car, yeah.
Yeah, with all that smoke and he couldn't see. That really wasn't his fault. And William Byron, he did really well this weekend. Did really well. Led some laps. Was pretty fast. Anytime a rookie can finish in the top 20, I think they're doing pretty good. I think what's holding Bubba Wallace Jr. back is his team and his equipment. Because Richard Petty Motorsports, they're getting their engines from RCR. It's not the best place to get it, but it's the closest place to get them. And with William Byron, I think he's a great kid. He's always pushing himself. And so I think with him, it's just going to be time. With Bubba Wallace Jr., I think it's gonna be, he does have some steps to take into getting better, but I think a lot of his success is going to be kind of put on the shoulders of his team. Will either one of them get a win this season? I certainly hope so. I think William Byron has a better chance.
Mm-hmm.
And will one of them make the chase? Again, I think William Byron has a better chance. But my main thing is that, again, this is week 4, and you can kind of start seeing some patterns. But I kind of like to wait until week 10 to kind of decide what kind of consistency we can expect out of them. So as of right now, the consistency isn't there. But again, it's only week 4. But they're doing good. They're doing good. Yeah.
Okay, so overall, rookies are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And, talking about the new guys, you think about the old stuff. And this past weekend was the official last race of the old configuration of Phoenix. So let's talk about the new changes of Phoenix. I know everybody knows about the start finish line. It's gonna be coming out of turn 2, correct? Right before the
Yeah.
dog leg.
Running that little
That's correct.
straight right there.
The little tiny straightaway before the Pocono turn.
Yeah.
And then I know they're building a bunch of grandstands. A lot of people were pointing those out, saying like,
Yep.
"Where's everybody at?" When they're just like not even completed grandstands.
Yeah.
What else are they changing? Do you know, Zach?
They're changing pit road. So like, okay, so you know how pit road on
Oh yeah, they got to.
there's a wall that goes all the way down through turn 1, and the wall goes all the way around turn 1.
Yeah.
And there's a wall on the inside. Well, now pit road is like pushed way tighter in, like it's like they tightened it up. There's still a wall on the inside entering, like which will now be 3 and 4, which will be very hard to get used to. By the way, for all your iRacing guys out there, I know, and the drivers probably too. But so
It's
there's
okay,
still
we
a wall
won't
there,
get
but it's
it.
kind of different. It's going to be a little bit different, but no huge reconfiguration of the track though. No change of banking, no paving. It's just moving of the grandstands and the line and the pit roads and stuff mostly.
I mean,
Okay.
we don't have to get used to anything because it'll take 4 years before we get that.
True. We'll have it so
Oh,
hard
jeez.
ingrained in our brain, we'll already know it when we get it.
Now, what do you think restarts are going to be like? Because I know that was a hot topic for the new configuration, because now you're going to have another 30 feet of straightaway to have fun on a restart. Do you think they're going to put in a rule where they can't use the dog leg on restarts, kind of like
Yeah.
they do at, what was it, Chicagoland?
Mm-hmm.
Because they would dip below onto the apron if you're on the inside lane.
I think that they won't do nothing to do with that, because I think that's the whole purpose. I think the track is like, hell no, you're not taking our dog leg away, NASCAR. And I think the first time we go there, it'll be, wide open. But I think after a couple times, just some crazy wrecks, I think they'll be like, okay, let's stop wrecking these $1 million cars. But NASCAR, like, let's try a new thing let's try something new, guys. Let's put a new configuration of track right in the last round of the playoffs. In the round before that, let's have a road course with an oval in it. Oh yeah, that's right. This is the playoffs. Let's try it in the playoffs. But that's NASCAR. We're revolutionaries, so let's get it.
You gotta get some fans somehow.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think they should I think they shouldn't put a rule in the dog leg, because I think it'll make it more exciting. We'll see. I don't know. We'll have to try it in iRacing. Maybe we should try it one time, actually. Just do a random restart right there.
just have a mock restart. Ready,
Yeah.
set, go.
Yeah. Pit party.
I think NASCAR, while I think their main thing is they're trying to make the finish a bit more exciting.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know. I don't think they're gonna let them go down on the dog leg on the restart. I don't think they're gonna do that.
Well, the biggest thing you got to think about too, with the way pit road's going to be now, there's going to be a big ass wall down there too. So there's a lot less dog leg. It's not like you can cut it like you can now. It's like a way more normal cut. It's like there's like 3 lanes down there instead of like 10.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of it right now, and they got like all kinds of crazy walls like everywhere.
Exactly. So it's a lot less. the cutting is prevalent in my opinion. It'll actually, I think, make the racing better too because you can't cut it like crazy.
Oh, we know, Zach. We know you don't like the dog leg.
Not a fan.
Well, and I wish they would kind of smoothen out the transition between the dog leg and the racing
I wish they put
surface.
grass in the curb.
Like they used to have it.
Yeah.
It's going backwards, Zach. We're going forward. It's 2018.
I'm trying to
Yeah,
get
look
rid of
back.
grass. Grass is bad.
Yeah,
Grass is good.
Grass is bad.
Grass is bad.
Like,
Grass is
not that
dangerous.
grass, Zach.
Oh, okay. So that's Phoenix. We're done with Phoenix until playoff time. Next week I have Auto Club. And we know Kevin Harvick is fast. We know SHR is fast and Chevys are struggling. We haven't talked really about Toyotas. Who's going to beat Harvick? Is it going to be a Toyota? Are we going to get a random Chevy or just another Ford? Let's go with Zach first.
Oh God, he put me on the spot.
No, we can do Brian first if you
Well,
want.
yeah, I
no,
can go
no,
for.
no.
I already know what I'm gonna say.
Who's gonna beat Kevin Harvick? You go first, Brian. Actually, I had to think about that for a second.
So I think it's gonna be Kyle Busch, or Martin Truex Jr. But I think Kyle Busch has a better chance at it. You know, he almost did it this past weekend. But I think Kyle Busch is gonna be the first one to bring him down. As far as Toyota goes, talking about them, I don't really think they deserve to be talked about. But you know, they're doing all right. You know, they're kind of same old with them. What's really helping them out is that Chevy's kind of out of the way, which is, I mean, I think that's really the only reason why, you know, the Fords and Toyotas are performing so good right now is because they don't have any Chevys in their way.
All right, I have my pick. I'm going out on a limb here. Jimmy Johnson is going to win at Auto Club Speedway.
You know, I don't think that's that far out of a limb, especially if you look at history. Because Hendrick, from what I remember, is actually pretty decent at Auto Club.
Oh, yeah.
But if you look at this year, of course, it's going to be like, oh, they're garbage. But if you look at history, they're not bad.
And that is Jimmy Johnson's home track as well.
Yeah,
very
California
true. And
kid.
I didn't want to pick somebody like
Obvious.
Yeah, I didn't want to pick like a Joe Gibbs driver or something.
Wow.
Oh, I picked Kyle Busch last week. That was probably who I was going to pick if you didn't pick Kyle Busch, because.
Yeah. Well, you said I had an easy pick last week. Now you're saying I got an easy pick.
No,
this week.
that's not an easy pick. That's not, because Kyle Busch could win, but he could also not win. He's very good at Auto Club, but he's also had bad finishes too. I could see Joey Logano or Brad Keselowski being up there. They usually run good there too. So
that.
Yeah, for Joey Logano fans out there.
Let me throw one out here. I'm gonna say that Ryan Blaney takes it.
Ooh, I like that.
I like it.
Where was Ryan Blaney's first Cup win? Pocono.
Pocono.
What was Pocono? It's just giant high speed, banked corners, except for turn 2 and 3. But I think he would be good at this style of racetrack. And
all right, it's a good pick.
He is in a Ford. Penske doing pretty decent. They weren't that great this week, but
they're good at Atlanta.
Yeah. So I think he's got a good chance to get that W.
Penske would have done better if Brad Keselowski's crew chief didn't screw him over.
Yeah, he would have been better at Phoenix, but they tried something different. They wanted to win.
I mean, you got
they tried
to win. You got to do something different. But they would have finished better if they would have just stuck with the plan.
Yeah, but a win means so much nowadays in playoff points with it.
Yep.
Gotta go for it.
Okay, so that's our picks. We got Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, and Ryan Blaney. Okay. We'll see how that goes. And I guess that's it for NASCAR. You guys want to add anything else?
That's pretty much it. Shout out to Mark Martin. If you guys didn't know, Mark Martin started a podcast this week too. So shout out to Mark Martin. A real OG.
Yeah, maybe we'll get him on here. We can tweet him.
Yeah, no, really. Well, maybe.
Mark, we're fanboys.
I'm not
Give
a
some
fanboy,
free
Mark, but I
Viagra.
like you.
Dude, I wonder if he's like super buff still.
He's super
Oh,
buff.
definitely.
Him and Carl Edwards probably had competitions.
They probably go biking together, kind of like Dale Jr. and Jimmy Johnson.
I think when you start biking is when you start losing races. Because think Dale Jr. started doing it and he just turned into garbage, and now Jimmy Johnson is biking, and it's like,
Oh, Jimmy Johnson was biking before Dale Jr.
but well, he didn't make it like super well known.
Jimmy Johnson bought Dale Jr.'s first pair of spandex.
Nice. But then Jimmy Johnson also raced. Didn't he race super bikes?
Yeah.
On
He started
motocross?
out, yeah, motocross, and then he went to the stadium trucks.
Oh
Hey,
my god, I didn't
Jeff
even
Gordon
know
started
that.
out on BMX, man.
Yeah,
Could you imagine Jeff Gordon on a BMX bike right now?
yeah, we
I
go so
can-
fast because he's so small.
He's aerodynamic.
Yeah,
Okay? He's
exactly.
not short.
He started racing because it was too dangerous. That's why.
Yeah. Okay. Tell that to his back.
Well, yeah.
I guess that, that wraps
Yeah.
up NASCAR. Did you have anything, Brian, that you wanted to add?
Well, while we were talking about the spandex and the biking, there is a funny story about Mike Helton seeing Dale Jr. in spandex for the first time. Yeah, you can find all of these crazy stories that Dale Jr.'s talked about, like especially since he's retired. People ask him a bunch of questions, and the funniest story is his first time going out to bike, because he didn't want to see anybody around the track in his spandex, didn't want to see any fans or nothing. And so what he did, he had his bus driver drive him out in a Tahoe, outside the track to meet up the other biking group. But then he forgot the battery for the shifter for that bike, because the bike had like different gears and the shifter needed a battery. He forgot the battery, and so they were all having to wait on Dale Jr. while his bus driver went back into the track to get the battery and bring it back out.
Oh my god.
Because
I
he
didn't even
didn't
know.
want he didn't want anybody to see him. But it was funny, after the 18-mile trek that they do, and usually they'll do about 30 miles, but this was Dale Jr.'s first time, so he was dead after 18. And but he was so tired and just ready to like go lie down that he didn't get his bus driver to pick him up outside the track. He just waltzed right in the track, like he didn't care anymore. This is pretty cool.
That's funny. Oh my god. He's like such a down-to-earth person. He's a superstar. All of his life has been put on TV, and he's still embarrassed of like certain things.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, well, that's NASCAR. Let's take a second to tell everybody, go and check out the Facebook page. Give us a like. We put out
Share it.
updates on everything. Subscribe to the YouTube page, and so that you know when we're going live. In case you forget, we go live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time for you West Coasters, and 10 p.m. Eastern time on the East Coast. I don't know any other time zones, so
If you live anywhere in between that, it's somewhere in between 7 and 10.
Go on
Just-
Google.
or you could just, subscribe to the channel and then put notifications on it. It'll tell you
Yeah.
when we go live. We're pretty important, right? So let's move on to iRacing. And this is where I step to the side. Just kidding. Let's talk about something we don't ever talk about. And this is something I never really even look into until, very recently, is the Peak Antifreeze series. I know nothing about this. I don't know pros. I don't know who's in it.
Me
But
either.
I'm looking at it, and I know, Zach, you know everything about iRacing's professional drivers. In my eyes, I know you're going to be modest right now, but what are we looking at with like the Peak series? What's going on in there?
It's pretty interesting. I think this season has the most talent any Peak series has ever had, maybe. It's gonna be a really close battle, I think. A lot of new names too. Like last year we had Ryan lose a win, and that was his first season in the Peak Series. He won the championship, and I wouldn't be surprised if we had a new champion this year. That's the first time because I think the race just finished tonight, the second race, and Keegan Leahy won, and
yeah, because he's cheating.
That's not Brian. How, that is not no
Physics. Of course, it's iRacing's fault.
Yeah, it's iRacing. Yeah, they need to fix their
He's
stuff.
taking advantage of it, but
yeah, exactly. Well, everybody else is too. Ain't his fault. He's doing it better than everybody else.
It ain't cheating until you get caught.
Well, I mean, if it passes tech inspection, then guess what?
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
Well, that's the sad thing. Is that
everybody has the same choice. Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's just he's putting in the time to try these things. I mean, that's how you gotta look at it.
His tire bead should be melting after 3 laps.
If that worked in real life and it worked in real life, guess what? They'd be doing it in real life. So, in racing, you're always looking to find the most speed. So, if that's the most speed, and I knew when I brought his name up, you were gonna say that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I was ready. I had my finger on the trigger. I was like, ooh.
Mm-hmm. So Brian, what do you think about Peak?
It's pretty cool. I'd like to race in it someday. After they fix all the physics crap, you know. Once they get tires blowing into iRacing because of melted beads, yeah, then I'd like to do it. Of course, I'm not that good yet. I think they need to find a different sponsor.
Yeah. Why is that?
Yeah. I don't know. It's been the same for too long. I don't know. I don't know anything about it, so that's just kind of the first thing that came to my mind.
Okay, well,
I was
just looking at something.
I brought it up in the topics because I saw an article on NASCAR.com about it. I was like, wow. NASCAR.com actually made an article.
Yeah, it is starting to get some publicity.
Well,
they did have a power ranking.
Esports are just coming into the light. I mean, casinos in Vegas have departments like just devoted to esports now.
Esport gambling?
No, it's just they have venues and conventions on esports. Like, I know one just wrapped up. It was for one of those the point and click games. I don't know which one it was. Something like a League of Legends, and it just
was it Dota?
I don't think so,
or
but it was
StarCraft.
I don't know, but the point is that esports are up and coming. So for something like NASCAR that's been around for so long, to notice something like that it's crazy. Just to show you how much our world is evolving. Now we play on computers and it's considered a sport, and you can make tons of money off of it.
Yeah, we're considered athletes now.
Oh, my fingers be working.
But when iRacing first came out with Rallycross, it wasn't long after that the official Red Bull Global Rallycross website had featured a winner from one of the Rallycross things. It was like on their front page for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But going back into Peak, I was looking at like requirements to even get in. I know after the season's over, they have the Road to Pro series, and from what this person says on Reddit, it's a short series, only 8 weeks long with 2 drop weeks, and the top 10 finishers and points are locked in and receive their pro license, and they're guaranteed a starting spot every week.
In Peak?
Then, yeah, in Peak. They're guaranteed a spot, so it's like, top 35 in NASCAR guaranteed. So, and then the rest are race for. It means you have to out-qualify the other people in order to get in. So, if you don't finish top 10, you're struggling, probably battling like 60 people just to get into a Peak race. So,
so
you're
that's
not even
every week.
Yeah, and you're not even guaranteed to be in the championship if you can't qualify. So it really puts an emphasis on all parts of the race weekend. And then another thing is you have to be around like a 6,000 I rating, is what this person's saying. So it's crazy. I guess
Yeah,
that's why it's the best of the best then.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It's just it's a lot of hoops to jump through,
Yeah.
and
Zach,
to not even be guaranteed.
do you know if there's an entry fee? Because Brian and I were talking about it earlier, and I swear there's an entry fee.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, that when you said that, that was the first time I ever heard of it.
Yeah, I don't know where I heard it. Never
I think
mind.
you
Then.
dreamed that one up.
Well, with the amount of money they pay out, I thought there would be. So, guess not.
No,
But-
that's from all the tracks and cars that we have to buy.
Oh yeah, that's your entry fee. It probably is. Okay, so, in order to get that good, you gotta, pick your kind of style to drive with, and I mean that as in monitors. And right now,
Oh,
yeah, this is your
that was a
section.
good segue.
Ugh, thanks. I worked on it all day. Right now you have the triple screen, you have single screen, or you have VR. And I know we've all done single screen. I don't think any of us have done triple. And Mr. Byron Johnson wears his helmet and does VR.
Yeah,
So
Oculus Rift.
I'll let you tell me what the difference, like what's better and what's worse when VR goes up against single screen.
Well, it gets kind of even more complicated when you want to talk about Oculus versus Vive.
No, we're just going VR.
Well, if you are into iRacing and you're thinking about getting into VR, which headset you use is really important. The Vive has a brighter screen, which can be useful, but the shape of their pixels um, give a greater screen door effect the further you look down the track. Whereas with the Oculus, it's slightly dimmer, which I think helps on eye fatigue. And the shape of the pixels are the pixels on the Vive and the Oculus are the same size, but just the way the Oculus has them shaped makes it look like they're close together, which makes the screen door effect not as great. So between VR and single screen or three screen, what have you, obviously the biggest difference is your resolution. With a single screen or three screen, you have the option to have 1080p or 4K if you can do that per eye. Whereas with the Vive, overall, it has a higher resolution than 1080p. But per eye, I forget what it is per eye, but per eye, it's less than 1080p. So and that's where you get into the screen door, where you can actually see the gaps in between the pixels because the screen is so close to your face. So that's really the only thing, is that, as far as visual quality goes, you do kind of take a dip in that. But I know for me, like I got used to it in 3 days. It was a very easy thing to get used to, especially since I expected it. There's a lot of people that get VR and they expect it to look just like a television screen, and then they get disappointed. And it's like, well, you should have done a little bit more research. But obviously, with VR, the advantages of VR, as opposed to a single or triple screen, is that it has the head tracking motion, so you can look left, look right, up, down. You don't really have to worry about your FOV a whole lot when compared to single screen. I know triple screen, it's much more realistic than single screen when it comes to your FOV. And I just like VR. I think I personally like VR better than triple screen because you actually have something on your head. It kind of feels like, because you have something pushing up against your face a little bit, very snugly, unless like a helmet. So
Okay, so let's say you get a person that's kind of like me, races once a week, maybe in one league, would you recommend them spending the money on V8 or VHS on VR
uh,
versus just running a single screen?
no. If well, it kind of depends. Like, if you're gonna do other stuff in VR, you're interested in doing the other stuff in VR, then yeah, sure, go for it. But if you're, only gonna do racing, uh, and you're gonna race once or twice a week, it's uh, unless you do have, $600 to just kind of toss away. I wouldn't really, put the money into it, because you're not gonna get, the uh, just the advantages that you get with VR. You're not gonna really take 100% of, and it does take quite a bit of time to kind of get used to it. I know there was like a lot of people, they kind of lose um, about half a second on their times at tracks, but then eventually they work back up to the speed that they were at single screen, and then they get better. And I know with me, with having the proper FOV, I was more able to be in the line that I wanted to be in, and so that made me more consistent, and it definitely has helped me. But when I got the headset, it was Christmas break, didn't have anything to do, so I was on it every day for hours a day, and that's what you got to do. And
Okay.
I race probably like 2, 3, sometimes 4 days a week, so for me, it is worth it. But 1 or 2 days a week for an hour or two, I don't think the advantages of it would really benefit you.
Okay. So if you're gonna be on a while, then yeah, VR. If you're just going one and done, yeah, just stick to single screen. But you talked about getting better, and another hot topic this week, especially in our league race, was how the heck do you drive a loose race car, especially with these cup cars? They're getting loose now. And it's not just like at the end of a long run. Some tracks they're just crazy loose to start with. I know you and Zach are great at driving loose cars, and I just want a little quick set of tips on how to save your tires for a track that is loose, or even tracks that are really tight. How do you save that right front? We'll start with Brian first since he's already warmed up.
Well, when it comes to a tight race car and saving your right front, I really, I think easier on the entry would be where I would start. I'm not I'm not really that good at saving tires on tight cars, but with loose cars, it's really simple. It just don't slide around. Once you hear the tires start sliding out from under you, just back it off and get it back under you, and that's how you're gonna save the tires. And at some tracks, I know, like Atlanta, for me, it wasn't really more about saving the tires. After 30 laps, it doesn't really become about saving tires. It's about keeping that tire temperature cool, uh, which I think plays a bit more of a role in this latest iRacing build than it has before, is the tire temperatures.
Okay. So now we go on to Zach, who loves a loose race car. How do you save tires?
My biggest way, new builds, so we're always changing. Last build, I think a lot of us had to adapt to a really tight race car with the right front burning off. So just coming off a whole seasons of running those, a lot of experience league racing here. I'd say, like Brian said, entry is where you're going to do most of your damage, and middle. So always try to make sure your center and entry are always not too hot. I try to use limited brake, of course, so I try to lift earlier. Because the brakes are going to heat up your tires, of course, and tire pressure is going to rise. It's going to make it not turn as good, of course. Harden up the tire. So yeah, I always try to be easy on entry, and then just never try to overdrive it, really. It's similar to the way you drive a loose race car, except a loose race car, you want to drive it to the maximum grip level possible at all time. Like, if I could show you some, like, a lot of people don't get it when I say, like, maximum grip level. They think, oh, when you're maximum grip level, you're wide open. No, like, we're going through a lot of these corners in iRacing when it's really loose, half throttle, like, just riding, and that little bit of just riding, you're building traction, and you're actually going forward. When you're sliding, you're not going forward. You're going forward, but you're going to the side too. So your momentum isn't carrying. Yeah, well, they're going forward, but
back to the first topic.
And like it's just, you, like Brian said about the saving tires on loose cars. You really just gotta listen to your tires and try not to do the slides. This new build has punished for slides because I'm a guy who loves a loose race car. Everybody, oh, it's loose, Zach, you're gonna love it. Well, this new build's come out, and I've wrecked a few times. Even I don't wreck when it's usually loose. Like, I love it when it's really loose, but you can't do the same slides you could in the older builds. I feel like Brian said, the tire temps, like old builds, I used to slide. I used to drive through the corner sideways, and you really didn't ever feel like it affected you. It felt like it made the car better because it actually helped you turn, because the right front usually is where most of the damage was. So he was like, yeah, slide the right rear out. I'm turning better now. And
I think sorry.
It was an advantage then, but now sliding is not good. So I'm getting better at it. I'm learning. So it's getting better though. Like I said, guys just need to work on finding that level of grip at every track, and what line you want to run, and where it moves, how it moves, and smooth throttle application, of course, and little corrections in the corner, little tiny corrections. It's not even big ones with the wheels; it's little tiny ones that are most important almost.
Well, you get. I mean, I kind of get a little hefty with the wheels sometimes, especially coming off.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
If you can, you can make big corrections if you can handle it.
Yeah.
But and the other thing is that I've found that there is a certain amount of slide that you can have coming off of a corner, that really won't affect the car too much. But it's not a whole lot, and there is a very, very fine line. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I did kind of figure out that there is a certain amount of slide you can have that you can drive through that'll make you faster, but it's not a whole lot. And another thing that I forgot to mention was that it reminded me, or you reminded me, Zach, when you said about the kind of like the half throttle.
Yeah.
And the way I know, especially at like Atlanta and Las Vegas, when you're coasting, the car tends to point kind of straight where the track is heading. And then you give it a little bit of gas, and it starts kind of pointing inside. So you get a better turn off. And again, you got to find that fine line between getting the car pointed and getting the car so fast that it'll either break traction or you'll hit the outside wall. So there is that. And I think that's part of the track bar, with the right side track bar being higher than the left side, is that once you apply the gas, it gets the car pointed where you want it pointed. And so then you just kind of play with the throttle to get you a nice, good exit.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. I know that someone told me that it's a good idea to turn up the volume of your tires, because in iRacing you can adjust the volume at which the sound of your tires make.
I turn my engine sounds down.
Well, yeah. Either way, I mean, just put more emphasis on the tires.
Yeah.
Just focus on them more. Try to be consistent, is what I've learned. But yeah, I'm a right front burner, because I think at Vegas in the B car I was down to 25% after like 60 laps.
Yeah, we did a long run then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you and I both heard the tire wear.
Yeah, the first time ever.
Yeah,
that's the first time
your
y'all
tires
ever heard
are
that?
wearing. Yeah, that's the
I had
first
that happen
time
to me at Dover. I wore it right front down to 37 at Dover.
Wow.
80 lap.
So it must say it at 40 then.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's all we have for today. You guys have anything else you want to add?
No, that's
Come back next week.
yeah. Come back next week. Give us a follow on our social medias, Facebook, Twitters,
Or
Tweeters.
Twitters.
Don't
Our
those go
tweeter.
on the speakers in your car?
Congrats to Byron Johnson on his win this week in our race. Nick, I'm sorry we didn't get your car on the podcast last week. It will be on next week's thing. John,
It's
I know.
okay.
I know.
Forgotten.
No, you're not. You're not forgotten, Nick. You're the most important part of this puzzle.
You know what I'm talking about, but okay.
You know.
A little bit of salt there.
That's a whole lot of sodium. Well, yeah, see you guys next week. Hopefully you checked out the video. And like I said, every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time, we'll be back. We'll be talking about what goes down at California. Will SHR continue their dominance? Or will one of the picks we pick win? Who knows?
Or will F1 explode? We don't know. We had the topics for this week. Sorry.
Or will the race be rained out? You know.
True.
Oh, I mean, yeah, the West Coast is getting a lot of rain. We're expecting some rain on Thursday over here.
Uh-oh.
So, I don't know. I mean, California is farther west than
Yeah.
Vegas, but still. We'll see.
Bye, everybody.
Later.